So,
Oh, there. Now we're on YouTube. I forgot to hit the button.
uh,
Oh, my stars.
oh, silly
I got to
Regina.
start this all over again. Oh, no. Anyway, I'm Regina and you are you, and we'll just cut the BS out from there. That's so funny. There are so many buttons to push and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you've got that muted
Yeah.
so that we don't get an echo going. And thank you for telling me that. Oh, my stars. No wonder there was only a few people. That's funny. Here comes Louise and hi, Louise. So here we are. And
Yeah.
you just got bags of food to put away and
Yeah. So I
the
was
daughter
like,
picked up from the school bus and
she actually hasn't gotten. She's actually not home yet. So I'm hoping that my wife gets home first.
oh well, if you gotta go, let me know and we can bring Christy on. So or I can fill the void. I've done that before too. It's so good to have you here. Tell us all about what's happening. Give us a brief rundown. You just froze. Oh, you're back. You are frozen though.
That's weird.
There you go.
That's very weird. I wonder why. Well, not necessarily sure where to begin. Oh, geez, why am I having such an issue?
Yeah, don't worry about the screen.
Sorry, that's the technical side of me. Wants to fix things. Let's see. I don't know. I am so nervous. I have no idea what to say. I have like stage fright, like completely frozen. Let's see. So where should I start?
How old are your kids?
Oh, my kids. My youngest is 8. My daughter, the middle child, is 10, and my oldest is 12. And they are little brats, as children often can be. But it's I love them dearly. They're mine.
That's all that matters.
They have actually taken quite well to the transition. I'm not sure how many people read my comic, but there I mentioned that I gave them free reign of what they wanted to call me, and recently my oldest has started correcting his pronoun usage. So that was like I had a heart flutter when the first time that happened, and I was like, oh my gosh. We were sitting at the dinner table, and I froze, and my wife smiled, and it was just like, okay, awesome. Let's see what else. I started my comic in October, and it's a general story of my life in the past and the thoughts and feelings I had that led me to where I am now. And there were several, like I've recently been reading several other comic creators who including LGBT themes and characters, and several of them were quite inspiring. And I was just like, why not do that? Because it was also something for me to focus on while I'm doing this, to kind of help keep my mind off of all the 1,000 things going on. And it's it's taken off. Ooh, hi. Okay. And God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm acting like such a dork on live internet. Oh my God. Oh, jeez. Most of the characters that you'll see are based on people in our lives. My wife is a nurse, a CNA, and she comes and brings me so many funny and just like ridiculously crazy stories.
Right.
And and whenever she starts telling me the story, I'm looking for a piece of paper to jot it down. And I'm like, oh my God, this is comic content right here. And you know, a lot of them, you know, I try to keep it, you know, keep names and whatnot, you know, to protect the innocent. But a lot of it is just meant to be comedy, really. Just to kind of lighten the, you know, kind of bring a more of a comical light to the concept of a trans person going through transition. And because it's not necessarily all about the seriousness all the time, because all work and no play makes for dull people. So if we're serious all the time,
well, that's a great point, Casey, because if we're serious all the time, then why can't we laugh? You know, I mean, is there something wrong with us that we're not laughing? If we're not laughing, there is something wrong with us. I think, you know, life is not as serious as we make it sometimes. And I love what you're doing with the cartoon and with the comics, and it's kind of like putting a different spin on life, and so it's nice. Back to you.
So let's see. What else is there? As far as like my life in general, I kind of realized that something was amiss around the age of 11. And it was hard to pinpoint, and you know, like so many other people are going to say similar things, but it was really hard to pinpoint like what exactly was wrong.
Interesting, yeah.
So you know, going through life, it was just a constant internal struggle with myself between trying to live as society is saying I should based on what I look like, and trying to live based on the image I see of myself when I look in the mirror. Well, no, let me correct that. No, not when I look in the mirror. When I look in the mirror, there's a whole different monster. But I digress. My mental image of myself. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
It was just a struggle to attempt to find some sort of balance.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that word balance, you know.
Because I realized somewhere around 13, 14 that whatever this other part of me was, it wasn't going away. But I had to figure out why it has, you know, there was such a strong pull. And that's part of what helped me to start piecing things together. I still didn't have much of a groundwork to like take the thoughts and build from. But over my middle school and my high school, and even into college years, it was I was building, taking and figuring things out and building my foundation so that I could build the house on top of it.
Right.
And that's really what it is for anybody in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trans person, a cis person, whether you're lesbian, gay, bisexual, whatever. Finding out who we are as individuals is the same concept.
A great point. I love that, because we're all just freaking humans. And we need to, each one of us is unique in some ways. And just trying to find who we are to where we can be. I can be Regina, you can be Casey, and everybody else can be whoever the fuck they want to be.
Exactly.
Or their authentic selves. If we could all just live authentically. And we build this foundation. And once we start getting a drift, at least in my case, because it got buried so deep. I grew up in the 50s. And my formative years, I was 10 when it turned 1960. So a lot of those, years, 10 years in the 50s was enough for anybody, and oh my God, stuff just got stuffed down in there so far. So when I started discovering that side, I couldn't stop it. It just came out in a rush, and it was just, and there was no thought of trying to be that other person anymore. Oh, this is what I have to do. It's right here in front of me. This is the way I feel, and I'm off. And it sounds like you had a very similar experience, even though you didn't have to wait as long.
Yeah. Well, I actually did. I actually didn't start my transition until last year.
That's still a lot quicker than
yeah, granted. And even for some others, some in their late 50s, 60s, 70s who are still doing this now, still figuring this out and starting. So yeah, I guess I can say I've been rather blessed in that nature.
Yeah.
And then like it's just like trying to find ourselves is and when we realize that this is the path that we want, that we should take, it's like we're stumbling around in the dark and we see that light and it's really small, way out there, and as we stumble towards it, falling over the random toys and stepping on Legos and hitting your shin on the table, when we finally hit that light, it's like walking out into an open field of flowers in the middle of spring, and the air is just so fresh and new, and you realize that, okay, I literally just went through an obstacle course, but here I am, and it was worth it.
I am moved by your analogy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm right on the verge of frickin' tears here, Casey. And thank you. because that's really the way it was too. It's just all of a sudden it's so grandiose. I mean, the sun is sparkling down upon my life, and it continues to do that today. I got into a conversation the other day with my hiking partner, and she was saying, somebody asked her if I was unhappy, and she was telling her, she said, "Oh my God, how could you be so far wrong?" And that is so true, because one thing I am not is unhappy living as Regina. It has made my life blossom. And it's so wonderful to hear you say that same thing, and just exactly what it was like when you got to the end of the tunnel. And that's just beautiful. So keep going. You're doing great. I'm taking the day off, and I'm just going to sit here and listen to you. You look at you go, girl.
And for me, my point of view, one of the biggest parts I see of being an ally is you're standing there at the threshold. You're watching for and listening for people who are stumbling in the dark, reaching out to them, giving them a voice to concentrate on, to reach for, giving them more of a goal than just that light at the end of the tunnel. And once they finally get out into the open, the ally helps heal their wounds, hugs them, appreciates them, accepts them, and then sends them off in to join the rest of the flowers and butterflies and that are out there. And that's what I see. That's my general idea of an ally, is that kind of person. And I unfortunately have had to shut out so many people from my old life who just didn't think that way. And while parts of me miss the bond that I had with them, other parts are like, okay, I realize now that this was probably a toxic relationship, and I'm thankful that I'm not in that anymore. Because it's like those toxic relationships are like heavy, like the ball and chain that are strapped to you, that are making it harder for you to reach that light, to get to that voice that's calling out for you. And it's, I mean, I had, a couple months ago, I reconnected with an old friend, and when I told him, oh, Laura, yes, today's the day to cry. Everybody grab some tissues, because that's probably where I'm going to end up with this today. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry. And like when I reconnected with my old friend and I told him, it took me a good month or so of kind of hemming and hawing around the topic before I was comfortable enough to tell him. And he told me, I don't care what you look like. I care about the person inside. That's the person I've come to love as a brother, as a sister. And I'm not going to lose a friendship like that over something so trivial. And
Wow.
those words, those were the words that he said to me, put me in tears. I mean, I'm already starting to choke up now, just like thinking it. It's, but that in itself, when we hear those words, regardless of what our backstory is, that bring tears to our eyes. Those words are the words that are plastered to our hearts in concrete that stay with us forever.
Mm-hmm.
No matter the ups and downs of the roller coaster of life, those are the things we carry with us. And to know that you've got strong allies like that,
Right,
is a bond that's so unbreakable. I don't know if anybody remembers that old high school game you would play in gym class where you would lock arms with each other, and someone would try to run and break the chain. It's kind of like that. When you've created those kinds of bonds with people, it makes it difficult for almost anybody to break.
right. I've experienced that in some cases. What I noticed as I had gone through life holding everybody at bay. And so when I'm 60 years old, I don't really have close friends. I have a myriad of people that I associate with, that I'm friendly with, but nobody knows who this person is. Nobody. I held them all out here and would not ever let anybody in. And there was a few men when I was ready to transition that I wanted to have private conversations with. And out of three of those, one I hardly ever speak to. I had known him for 30 years prior, and he hardly ever talks to me now. And we've gotten back to where before the COVID, where we can hug each other, but it's not that great hug. The other one of the gentlemen says, I can't accept this, but he continued to be friendly, and finally after 2 years, he kept calling me by my dead name. And I said, that's not even legal anymore. You need to check. Well, I can't. And I'm going, well, then don't call me anything. And my hiking friend the other day, I was talking to this guy and she was there. He introduced me to his mother, who is like 80 some odd years old. And I was scolding him for keeping her hidden and telling her what a good boy he was, but he's almost as old as I am. But he has stayed kind of on that periphery, and then when I made this, you can't do this anymore, he started changing. And then the third one, I sat him down on my patio and we talked for a little while, told him what I was up to. And when he got up, well, Regina, this is the way it's going to be. You can't lose me just like this, and gave me a big warm hug. And for a long time, he came out to have coffee and buy coffee. I taught him how to roast coffee, or got him roasting coffee. And he used to drive through town in a semi, and he would start calling me and to say he was going to drive past. And so I would go out in front of my coffee shop and wave at him. I wanted to run him a cup of coffee out there, but there was, when he stopped at the stoplight, but that never worked out. It was always kind of funny, but he's moved away a little bit further now. And so I hardly ever get to see him. So yeah, I love the what you're saying there, and how those people just kind of disappear, but how good of friends were they? If they do that is the question. I think that I've got much better friends now. Absolutely. and I let people in. I mean, I'm vulnerable, and I think that vulnerability that we gain with time of this is a human trait that allows people to get in closer to us and makes for better friendships, because if you and I realize that each of us is vulnerable in this way, then we can watch out for each other. Exactly. And so, what amazing growth we can get by this experience of living as both genders, because, we see what it was like over here, and now we're like this. And I just find that to be amazing and very pretty much a spiritual experience.
Oh yeah. And like, I'm kind of like glancing at comments as you're talking, and Christie just said, I know what you mean. One thing I did was connect with other trans people, and that's the other bond that I've found over this last year is all of you fabulous people. And I honestly don't think I could have asked for better friends, because not only do many of us share similar experiences, but we help each other and use each other as like it's like climbing mountain climbing, and you're climbing with friends, and you climb up and you rest, your friend climbs up, helps you, and then while you rest, and then it's the back and forth helping each other, continuing to move up the mountain till everybody reaches the top. And that is the friendship, the sisterhood, I guess we could call it at times, that I've also come to find being here among you guys. It leaves me speechless quite often than not.
So true. I know the community that we have built over this last year is amazing. It is so amazing, because we got like Sarah off in Belgium, and we got Eva down in New Zealand, and Jessica in Ireland, and then all across Canada and the US. We've got people from all over, and what a wonderful experience. And we all get to hear in this one little cupping of the hand, so to speak, and it's just phenomenal. So I don't know. It does make me speechless at times, and if there's one thing I like, it's when be speechless. Can you imagine me being speechless? Oh my God. It's crazy. It's just wonderful. So Ah,
Hey,
God.
there's wifey now. She just popped in and said hi.
Where? Have you ever come in behind you there for a second?
Oh no, she popped into the chat. I mean, I could have her come in,
Carla.
but
Carla Blakely. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Carla.
I could have her come in, but she might be a little too shy. But I'm leaving that up.
How
That's
great
up to
is
her.
that? Yeah. Oh, gosh.
There she is.
Hey, how are you doing? Good to meet you. Wonderful.
So that's and I have to say, this is the happiest I've been in 30 something years.
Wow.
Gotta be 34 in May. Wow.
Hey, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, they're the happiest I've ever been. You know, God, I couldn't believe it when I first met my therapist, you know, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know anything. And I talked to her for a while and she says, "You've been depressed your whole life." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? That's not true." But now, as I look back, so true. You know, I mean, I didn't even realize I was depressed. I sometimes think, you know, that I used humor a lot to hide behind that laughter.
Yeah.
And then so that's part of the wall. That's some of the bricks in the wall. I always like that analogy of the bricks in the wall. I've never listened to Pink Floyd in my life. But we hide behind the humor because it keeps people from understanding that we have this pain body. And I know you know, trying to discover what that pain body is. And I think, gosh, I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was Marty was talking about learning to write with my left hand, and it would open up that childhood pain body, you know. And it was kind of a strange concept, but if it was her that was telling me that, it was, you know, really a great thing that they did, you know, because it opened up that you know, that turmoil and whatnot. It's like, I don't remember so much of what happened to me as a child. You know, was the trauma so great? Pardon my language, but fuck, I don't remember any trauma. You know, the worst that I can remember is my father putting me in a boxing ring with a brother who was 3 years older and stockily built instead of a tall, skinny kid, you know, and I got my ass kicked on a regular basis that way. And that's the most traumatic thing I can think of, you know, in my early childhood. You know, it's all gone. It doesn't make any difference. Be here now, you know, kind of thing. And this is who I am today. You know, if you don't like it, it's your problem. It's not mine.
Exactly. You know, it's like they say, you know, the past is the past.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, you know, tomorrow is the future, but today is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Hi, Louise.
Louise. Are you a grammar
Maybe
teacher
I
now?
should get Louise a ranch to watch the language in the chat room.
Oh man, this is
So,
you know, I was so nervous for this today, but now just being here and getting into it, it's not as bad as I actually thought it was. I actually could see me doing like jumping in with people more often now. I might consider it.
Well, you should. You've been just totally fascinating. You know, a really good guest, Casey. It has gone well. It has gone swimmingly well. Yeah. So now I guess we should be thinking about bringing Christie on, and let you go back to work. Get the old whip out. Come on, Casey, get out there.
Yeah.
And go to
I
work.
can get my toolbox and monitor the chat room.
Yeah. So, hey, Christie, why don't you join us here, and let's see if we can do two of us here for a couple of seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, or three of us. I don't know if it'll let me even, but we can try. See what happens. So anyway, yeah, you have done well. You have done really well. Here she comes.
Hi.
There she is. Hi, Christie.
Hello. Great to see you. Great to see you, Kate.
You too.
Yeah. So, oh my God, our chat room is unprotected for a couple of minutes. Do you think it'll be okay?
Oh no.
Oh,
It's okay. We've always got Louise. She's still in there.
yeah. Well,
oh wait, I got to do this.
Kind of like my conscience. Oh, elevate your being. Here, I've got the people stick together. There you go.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Totally fun.
Last cup I sold. The last cup. That's
yep,
so
I remember
great.
that.
Yeah, you got the last Raised Rose cup, because I'm probably not going to do them again. So, okay, Casey, I'm going to kick you out and have a talk with Christie now. Thank you so much for being on, and you did a wonderful job. We'll do this again, trust me.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll even get in touch with Marty and do something with her too.
Oh, don't let it all go to your head. Oh, God. So much fun. Okay, sweetie.
All right. Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Hi, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I've had two computers running at the same time, so I'm trying to watch the chat room on the other side. So let me
just let the chat
room
go. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let it go.
I can't see what people are saying though, so I really want to see what
none of your business. You're supposed to talk to me.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. They'll be fine.
Hi, Regina.
And hi. They'll be fine. Casey's over there now, manning the show, and you're just gonna, tell us your story.
My story.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
This is your time to shine.
My time to shine. That's very true. This is my first time on video on the internet. So
nice.
You're all getting an exclusive. Yeah. About me. Regina and I talked briefly to set up this StreamYard thing last night, and I passed this idea on to Casey as well. And talking with Regina, we kind of, I think maybe reframing the statement or the question for the chat room, as well as what I plan to tell you about is the two questions are, when did you first learn about other transgender people, that they existed? And the second question is, when did you feel that you were one of them? So, and I was going to go off and explain how I felt. I always felt something was different. Come on, go. It was interesting. Oh, hello. Uh-oh. Is Tank having issues? Anyway, sounds like I'm it. So, no problem here.
Everything's
anyway, Um, everything's okay? Okay. For me, it was pretty interesting. I was 14, I think, in between 8th and 9th grade, about to go into high school. And my parents had lots of magazines at home. Reader's Digest was one of them. 1974, there was a gas crisis, if any of you are old enough to remember that. Gas went from an incredible 29 cents a gallon up to an outrageous 65 cents a gallon. I remember things like that because sometime later I started working at a gas station as a teenager. But I grabbed the Reader's Digest, and there was an article there about a woman who claimed to have building a car that would get 70 miles to the gallon. And I thought that was amazing. And my father raced cars, so I did have an interest in cars. And actually, the first car that I ever owned or had as a teenager, my father and I rebuilt the motor, and it was an older British Ford. Anyway, so I had that interest. So I was fascinated by the article, and I was reading it. She was a mother of 5. She was an engineer, and she's producing this car company and makes this claim that she can. She has a carburetor that'll get 70 miles to the gallon. And I was very enthralled with the picture, or with the pictures and the article. And then at the end, they said she's a complete hoax. She's not an engineer. She's a con man. She's not even a woman, and she's not even a mom. And maybe I was naive then, and but my first thoughts once I read that article was, there's people out in the world like me, and they can become engineers. So I was very happy. It made all the difference in my life that that was the first time that I was ever introduced that there were other people in the world that didn't feel that the gender they were born with was the one that was the right one. And that was very much amazing for me. And it brought me peace of mind in a lot of ways. Even if the article, tried to debase her completely, I still felt there was a connection there. And I felt, this was, it can work. What I dreamed of as a teenager of being an engineer, possibly, I'd say at that time, as well as being female, those longings, I could have both. So that was the first time. And when talking to Regina last night about it, I asked, well, when did you first know that other transgender people existed? And she said, well, that was sometime earlier. But she didn't necessarily feel that she was actually transgender till much later. Is that a good way to paraphrase it, Regina?
Well, yeah, because, in the 50s and 60s, there really wasn't much talk about it. And being, a kid out in the country, where are you going to hear about it? When it's just this rare occasional article, if you don't have your nose stuck in current events all the time, you're not really going to understand much of anything about that. And it just wasn't a subject of conversation at our house. I knew that I didn't fit, and that's all I knew. And as I got into being a teenager, I found that alcohol and a little bit later drugs kind of like erased all that part about me not fitting in. And that was my answer to being different. And I can dance when I drink enough. I can be whoever, and I drink alcoholically from the very get-go because that's that's the way it was. And so my focus shifted to being, I mean, I didn't really have, and it was only after I sobered up. I sobered up when I was 40 something, and all that transgender stuff is stuff so far down in that you know, it took time for it to surface, you know, and probably 10 years before I actually came out publicly. You know, through pornography and whatnot, I found myself attracted to those kind of porno pages, and then I started asking questions, and holy smokes, I really wasn't prepared for what I you know, that can of worms. Yeah, that's my story, and it's kind of, you know, different from a lot of your experiences, because I'm not that much older than you, you know, 10 years.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you know, yeah, more or less, it doesn't matter. You know, I was on a panel here a year or so ago, a sex education panel, and there was like 20 years in age difference between the three people on the panel. There was me. There was a gay man 20 years younger than me who I'm friends with. And then there was another NB that was 20 years younger than Brad. And you know, they all asked what it was like growing up. And as we each spoke, it was just amazing the difference that those 20 years makes in our character development. You know,
yeah. So it's so different.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, when television had just been invented, it was just becoming mainstream when I was a kid. You know, those classic Milton Berle things that you see occasionally on YouTube, those were just new when we got our first television in 1955 or something like that. My favorite show, daytime show that we used to watch religiously, my mother and me, Queen for a Day. Who knew? You know, I loved that show, Queen for a Day. I always wanted to be Queen for a Day, and now look at me.
Here you are, Queen.
Yeah, I got my
way
whip.
Or longer.
Yeah.
Well,
God.
I could say, you know, about that same summer, I can remember my mom and I used to watch Young and the Restless, a soap opera. And I knew all the players and what the background was. And it was kind of interesting to watch Mr. Mom later with Michael Keaton as, you know, a stay-at-home dad. And he's talking about the Young and the Restless and the key characters, and you know, the vasectomy didn't take, and oh
my God.
And I just tuned in lately, and some of those same actors are still on the show, like 40 years later.
Wow.
They must have been in their 20s when they started, you know. Yeah, so yeah, I was, you know, just like everyone else, I think, probably fascinated and fantasized about being someone in the show. Or I can think of lots of different, growing up, there were a lot of key figures that I just longed to be.
I love this comment. Queen for a Day was pathetic. The poor women competing for being the most needy. So true, so true. But I was so impressionable. I just wanted to be needy, and I was for so many years. Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember the Nikki was my favorite character, a blonde woman, and then I forgot his name. Victor. Yeah, Victor was the one whose vasectomy didn't take, and I remember that show. And yeah, it's all pretty interesting. But Nikki's still on the show, as far as I know. Last time I looked, maybe a year ago.
That's hard to imagine. So yeah, there, so much has changed though, now here we are on YouTube talking about this openly when
Right.
when our people and Marty and all those people, they are the ones who are responsible for us being able to be here now, and doing this. And it my heart and hat goes out to them. My heart goes out to them, and I'm so grateful for all that. I sometimes yeah, I don't know. I get at a loss for words occasionally, and this is, because it's so cool, the things that they did to make it all possible for us. The big thing was Caitlyn Jenner coming out. So much disgust went out from our community towards her, locally here. And I just could never quite figure that out, because she made the conversation to be mainstream. And we've come a long ways in those 5 or 6 years. I guess it's been 6 years now, because her and I came out at the same time. I think I beat her by a month or 2.
Yeah. That was the same year, almost the same month that I came out to my adult children. Both my wife and I had worked on the letter for over a year, and I'm about ready to, we're about ready to send the letter to them. And Caitlyn comes out, and I'm like, oh man, every perception that my kids are going to have of me and what it means is going to be based on Kate Jenner's background in her show, The Kardashians, which I wasn't watching. So I'm like, all right, I got to better understand that and where they might be perceiving it from. As it was, they're all older, 33 and 2 at age 33, and 1 at age 37. They've all accepted me. They've all seen me as Christie. My eldest son, or not my eldest, my youngest son, and he was the most open, both him and his girlfriend, to meeting me and seeing me as Christie. It was a little unnerving for me for him to refer to me as Christie instead of Dad.
Right.
And I guess, in the scheme of things, I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. He has to figure it out for himself, and it's in a way that it doesn't expose me in a conversation in public. So that's been good. I did visit them. They're in South Korea now, and I did visit them last year at almost this time. And
didn't you just marry them here a short time ago?
No, that was my older son, and there's a story there too. But what the story I was going to hit upon with visiting my son in South Korea is he's got a girlfriend. They live together. They're both teaching English, and I showed up. They were happy with me showing up as Christie. So they had 2 apartments. My son kind of sublets the other one. And so they set me up in the one and they live in the other. And I would walk maybe a mile or more over to their place. And they were having a party for my son's girlfriend for her birthday. And I showed up as Chris, my male self, because I didn't want to outshine the birthday girl. So at one point, this is kind of comical. Yeah. Thanks, Brianna. They sure can. This was kind of comical. She looks at me. The apartments there are very small, and there must have been 10 people in that room. And the guys started having a contest to who has the hairiest nipples. And I was close to an exit doorway, and I thought, I can't stay here for this. I've already been on HRT for a year. I've never been very hairy anyway. And I thought by the time they get around the room to me, this might be a bad thing. So I'm just going to skip out. And then his girlfriend said to me, well, what's going on? And I explained it to her. And she said, well, Christie, you're a woman. You're not going to be playing that game. And then she said, how come you didn't dress today? I said, well, I didn't want to, upstage your birthday party. And so she says, well, why don't you go get dressed? It's my birthday and I want Christie here. And I'm like, are you sure? It's going to take a while, And yes, so I quick dashed over and dashed back, and we had a great time. But what really hit me hard, and I really really appreciated it and let her know that before I left, is that she provided unconditional acceptance to me that I could not provide to myself. She accepted me completely as a woman, saw me as such, appreciated me as such, and wanted me to, be myself. And, I couldn't give myself that much acceptance of myself. So when Laverne Cox's documentary Disclosure happened, there's a piece in there, I think it's Jen Richards, maybe an hour into the video, where she talks about the same type of thing. She couldn't give herself that level of acceptance. There was, that internal transphobia, I think is the way they termed it. And that churned me around. And I thought, well, this is something I have to do for myself. I have to give myself that acceptance. So that was amazing.
True. So true. And, that's funny, acceptance, because I had a reading picked out for today in case it ever.
Casey's on. Get ready, Casey.
So a little paragraph about acceptance. It's in a different light, but really acceptance is so key to everything that happens in our lives. Because without acceptance, we're just struggling. There's no happiness. There's very, very little that is good without acceptance. And acceptance of each other is so important, and acceptance of ourselves is like the key thing before we can be accepting. We got to love ourselves before we can love others. And so much of that is really true. So, so do we want to do this right now? I see Casey doing all the dinging and whatnot. So I guess that's an indicator that I should read this.
Yes,
because we're like at 58 minutes right now. Acceptance, Kisa realized, does not mean not caring that terrible things happen. Of course we care. We must care. Caring is what rescues us from the lie that this world is nothing but an illusion to be transcended. Caring links us to the world as a crucible for cooking up the elixir of mercy. Acceptance means being with things as they are, not turning away and not trying to shape them to our will. This renders it possible to make our pain an offering of love. This blesses all ground as sacred ground. And while it's not really appropriate, to our situation here, it's still about acceptance. And so I rest my case and my dog's barking. So can you talk for another minute while I get him to be quiet?
Sure. Regina mentioned that I did officiate the wedding of my older son. That happened this last fall.
Come on.
That was a pretty interesting experience. In that situation, yeah, I went as my male self, and I had agreed to that. I thought, the wedding is not the place to make me to be my big outing, especially to the in-laws. So that's the way it was played, as it was. Um, Again, my son's bride to be and her family, and all my son's friends. I didn't know this till I got there, really, but they all were aware of me and me being transgender before I got there. And I've known my son's friends for a long time. They all grew up together in high school, all the best men, the maids of honor, well, not the maids of honor per se, but all the best men, or I forgot the term, but they all knew me. They all knew me before. Some are pretty macho guys, and they were okay with me. They were okay being with me. It was very freeing just to know that. And there was one, I think I mentioned this in chat before, but there was one piece as part of the service. There's a poem by a poem called Love, and I think the author's last name is Kavanaugh. And honestly, I also officiated the wedding of my stepdaughter. That was maybe 3 years ago, and I read that poem. And I had to disassociate the words with the feelings and the thoughts when I first went through the process with my stepdaughter's wedding. And then I did the same thing again with my son's wedding. I had to disassociate my feelings and thoughts from going through the process and reading the poem. But up on the podium with the bride and the groom reading that poem, towards the end, it just hit me, and it hit me so hard. There were some words in there about accepting your partner as who they are and allowing them to be who they need to become. And it was very gut-wrenching to read that. And, I opened my heart and mind up to the words, and I struggled to finish, but I did pull through. So I'll try to share that in the comments later once this is published, so people can find it.
So, well, we're over an hour now, and oh gosh, I haven't eaten all day. Yeah, and so I think I'm gonna send you packing, Christy.
Okay.
And
well, again,
hey, thank you so much. I mean, it's been a great show today. I think you've done a wonderful job, and Casey was wonderful, and we have just really put faces to names. And that's
oh boy.
Well, no. I that's part of growing our community. I think
I agree.
is getting out there and be more open and to me, hiding myself away is not the way to further anything. And so here you are, and your first video and Casey's as well, I think. And it's just been fun. I did want to say congratulations to Barbara for her 12 years. I'll be celebrating 29 years next week. And,
wow. Good job.
So, I think that recovery helps a lot of us in this community. And I know there's others here who are also members of one 12-step program or another. And, and I'm going to say, with my last wife and I attended a recovering couples workshop, and that was just so earth-shattering for me to start realizing that I didn't know anything about my childhood, and it was just a huge thing to be going into steps so deeply that all of a sudden I didn't know who the fuck I was, and or how I got to be who I was, or anything else, and just a wonderful, painful, very painful experience, but so freeing, is to realize what's going on. So I am just happy to have another person in, and oh gosh, so yeah, so welcome, Barbara. Everybody's saying goodbye. I guess I started closing her up too quick. So anyway, yeah, let's just wrap it up.
Okay.
I've got to go to the bathroom, and I've got to eat, and I've got some other stuff to take care of today, and oh my stars, and I've got to, oh God, I've got this list of medical crap going on. And so I got to go work on that tomorrow. And so everything, I don't know when I ever have time to run a business, You ever notice that? We get so busy with all this stuff that I would rather do than work. I'm kind of amused, I retired from my career in 2015. And so then I did this coffee shop thing and coffee roasting for something to do more than I needed the money, although I did need some of the money. And God, now I'm just so busy. I don't know how the hell I ever ran a job, had a job.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Took what? Minimal of 40 hours. Well, working for the tribe, we work 37 and a half hours a week. That was our work week. And it was hard to fit it into my busy life then. And now I'm working 15, 20 hours a week. And I'm going, how do I find the time for this?
Yep. I'm retired, and it's amazing how the days get filled.
Gosh, yeah. I can't even find the time to because I try to walk 1.5 miles to 2 miles every day, and I should be doing 5 miles every day, and I haven't got time to do 5 miles. Figure 20 minutes a mile. That's only 3 miles an hour, so an hour and a half roughly, and I haven't got time. I haven't got an hour and a half to spend every day walking, and thinking and yelling at my dog because he's a jerk sometimes. And oh my stars, it's here it is. So hard to be Regina. I was late coming on to this broadcast, or almost late, because I was on the phone with someone else, and that's usually you're on the phone with somebody else. I can't call myself, but that call, what I thought was going to be like a 10-minute call, turned out to be an hour or more. I finally said, well, God, I got to be live here in a few minutes, and I don't have any makeup on. I was scary. I mean, most of you guys have seen me without very much makeup, but yeah, it was scary. I was thinking, God, she will never talk to me again. That's scary looking. It just, oh gosh. So what's going on here in the chat room? I'm gonna remove you, Christy.
Well, can I say a few things first before I go?
thank you for being here today, and we'll talk to you later. And I'm going to keep talking to everybody. And,
okay, can I say a few things before I leave?
No. What do you want to say? Go ahead.
Oh, big shout out to one of my best friends, Susie. Really appreciate her. She's a mentor for me, big time. Great conversation. Also, I wasn't able to watch the chat while I was on, so I do appreciate everyone being here. If they want to answer those questions I asked, when did you first learn that other trans people existed, and when did you realize you were one? If those were the same or different times, I'd appreciate that in the comments, or if it's already in the chat, I'll try to review that later. Anyway, I'm so happy to be a part of this group and to enjoy chatting with everyone. It's nice for you to at least see me, I hope, and maybe one day I'll get to see all of you somewhere, somehow. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Christy.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye. I think I'm still there.
You're not anymore. So anyway, whoa, what a great show we've had today. I've enjoyed myself, and I really had great guests. And you all have a good week. And oh gosh, I imagine that I will be here again next week. I keep thinking I'm going to take a week off one of these days. I don't know. Would you guys be able to survive if I did take a week off? You know, I haven't had a Wednesday off for quite a while now. I don't know. I don't know whether I'll do that or not. Because I really enjoy doing this. Don't ever let anybody think that I don't. It's fun, it's rewarding, and I love you guys. And so with that, with me saying I love you, I am going to close it out now. We can hug it out, and you know, I don't know. Let's just get right to the chase. Tell the truth and love everyone. That's all we need to know. And it's not always easy. So you all have a good week, and we'll see you next week. And take care. Love y'all. Bye-bye.